My name's Eric Welander. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about everything Apple HomeKit related at CES 2023. Now, CES, also referred to as the Consumer Electronics Show, is an annual trade show in Vegas where companies across the industry come with their new and sometimes crazy ideas to show off to the media, as well as potential retailers to carry those products and the general public. And what I love about it for us as Apple smart home consumers is it gives us an idea of what some of the smart home companies are going to be doing over the next year as we think about what products we want to put in our smart homes. And this year was a huge year for Matter as more companies adopt the new universal smart home standard. And because of Matter, we're getting a lot more products that are compatible with Apple HomeKit, but more on that in a minute. It was a huge year for Nanoleaf. They unveiled a number of big new product lines, including the Nanoleaf 4D system. Now, this is a camera that points at your TV, and then based on the colors of what it sees on the screen, it will make the Nanoleaf lights in the room that are compatible sync with those colors, so you have a more immersive viewing experience. Now, this idea is nothing completely revolutionary in and of itself. Philips Hue has been doing this for a while, and some other companies as well. And so clearly it's a popular idea. And I think if you have some Nanoleaf lights that would be compatible with the 4D system in your living room, this could be a great way to go. The system also includes a new LED light strip with up to 50 addressable color zones and up to 5 meters in length. So great new light strip, it sounds like, from Nanoleaf. And if you think it's a really cool idea to make your lights in your room match your TV automatically, well, there's another cool product I want to talk about in a minute in that same vein. But first, Nanoleaf also announced their Sense Plus line and their Nala Assistant, Nanoleaf Automation's Learning Assistant. Now, this is a hub that you put in your home, and then you have various smart switches either that go in your wall, or there's a wireless option. You can use it as a remote or also mount the wireless option to the wall, and there's motion sensors built into some other Nanoleaf products, as well as dedicated sensors. And all of these things collect data that feeds back into the assistant, which then analyzes when lights are being turned off and turned back on in your home, and when people are going certain places in your home, and then it creates the automations for you. So in theory, I like this kind of idea because creating the automations and thinking about what automations would work well for your life is really difficult sometimes. And when you nail it, it's just great. But when you're trying different options, it can be a little tedious sometimes. But at the same time, with all the smart thermostats, I always turn off all of those smart features that say, oh, we'll adjust the temperature automatically for you based on our inputs and parameters. That never works out. I could also see something like Nala being a natural fit for Apple to do with Siri. Maybe Apple should buy Nanoleaf, but that would be a little bit different topic. Either way, I hope that Nala is much smarter than my thermostat and Siri when it ships. Another product Nanoleaf also announced is their Skylight, which is a new flexible ceiling light fixture. So it seems like you still need a actual box in the ceiling to connect this light fixture to power, but from there you can sort of configure it in different shapes, and it gives you some of the same flexible color lighting that a lot of other Nanoleaf products have, and it has a Sense Plus sensor built in. And that's not all. Nanoleaf also updated their Essentials lighting line. So you might have heard me talk about the Nanoleaf Essentials products on this channel. In, I think it was 2020 or 2019, Nanoleaf first introduced standard size light bulbs and a light strip that work with HomeKit over Thread, which at the time was a really cutting edge wireless technology for your smart home. And I even interviewed their CEO here on this channel. And while those light bulbs and light strips work really well, they didn't quite have all the oomph required to work with the new Matter standard. So Nanoleaf has a second generation of those light bulbs and light strip that work with Matter, and they've also added a number of other sizes of light bulbs and light strips to that line. I'm sure it'll be interesting to check out in in detail those new essentials products, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that video when those get around to shipping. But for the time being, let's talk about Philips Hue. Now, I have a lot of Philips Hue bulbs and products around my home as well, and they've been doing this color syncing of lights to your TV for a long time as well with the Hue Sync system. And you either had to do this with a computer that could talk to the sync lights, or you had to get an HDMI box where you'd feed in your video cables from, let's say, your game console or other types of video sources like an Apple TV, and that would then collect color information to send to the lights before sending that video signal out to your TV. But now Hue has announced a partnership with Samsung where Samsung TVs will have the option to have an $129 app installed on the TV that will allow the TV to communicate directly with Hue Sync lights. It seems like you'll probably still need a Hue bridge involved in this somewhere. I'm not entirely clear on all the details. And of course, $129 is a lot of money for a TV app. But at the same time, it's a lot cheaper than buying a Hue Sync HDMI box. And one of the nice details of this compared to the HDMI box is that you can use it with some of the apps on the TV, like Disney Plus or Netflix. It wasn't clear from the press information if it's going to be compatible with every single TV app and all of the options. There might be some catches or details there, but overall, I think this is a really cool step forward for Hue Sync and a way to just do the same thing, but with less electronics and stuff in your living room. Now, Philips Hue also announced a PAR 38 light bulb, which is meant to go, like, let's say, in spotlights outside. And they also announced a smaller wall mount for their Hue tap dial switch. Moving on to Lutron, I recently reviewed the new Lutron Diva dimmer and Claro switch here on the channel, and Lutron recently announced more color options for the dimmer and the switch. Now, you've been able to get the original line of cassette wireless switches and dimmers in a collection of colors already, including white, ivory, light almond, and black. And this new update to the Diva dimmer and Claro switch adds all those colors plus brown and gray. I feel like this is one of those subtle details where if you get the color matching right between this and maybe some outlets in the room, it can help some of the smart home tech fade into the room a little more and not feel like a computer on your wall. But speaking of more computers on your wall, so to speak, Lutron also announced their accessory switch for the Claro switch and Diva dimmer. Now, this connects in like a three-way setup to one of those other switches, and some of the cool details here are that it doesn't count against your accessory limit with your Lutron bridge. So it must be communicating more directly with the switch or dimmer than, let's say, a Pico remote. Now, it's important to note that Lutron made it clear that this is not meant to replace Pico remotes. This is a different product entirely. So I'm a big fan of Pico remotes. I hope they still stay here for many years to come, but I think this is a really nice option from Lutron to do three-way light setups, and we'll see how it actually performs once I get my hands on it here on the channel. And the other notable thing about Lutron is, well, they've joined the Matter consortium. We haven't heard any news on their plans to support Matter, at least that I've seen yet. So that's another interesting thing I'll be keeping an eye on in 2023. Of course, Lutron already supports pretty much every smart home platform via their bridge. So, well, it's a nice step forward. I don't view it as quite as essential for them to do as maybe other companies. Now, speaking of a company that has Matter support coming to their bridge very soon, Aqara announced a number of very interesting HomeKit products. They'll be bringing a HomeKit Secure Video doorbell to the US this year, as well as a HomeKey lock. So no details on exact pricing or availability, at least at the time of recording this, that I've seen. But it's really great to see them adding these products to the US market. Aqara is known for very affordable prices, and I find very good performance in their cameras. I'm hoping that their HomeKey lock is a little bit less expensive than the current options from Level and Slage. HomeKey is a really great way you can use your iPhone or Apple Watch to just simply tap them without having to open an app or anything, and it unlocks your door. And there aren't really any good options in the HomeKit secure video doorbell space. So we'll see how this new doorbell from Aqara stacks up. And along with that, Aqara also announced a T1 light strip. Looks like the new trend in light strips from a lot of these companies are addressable zones in multiple colors. Nice to see Aqara getting into the light strip game as well, but no details on a price or release date that I've seen. Now, another company I talk a lot about on this channel is Eve, and last year at CES, they announced their new motion blinds partnership with Coulisse, where they bring the smart home tech to Coulisse blinds and sell them through select retailers. Here in the US, it's blinds.com and selectblinds.com. And you can go to motionblinds.com/Eve to find the retailers in your country. But let's say you don't want to buy new roller shades. Well, now Eve has a roller shade upgrade kit, so you can take your existing roller shades and make them smart by just installing a new roller and motor that mounts them to the window. And this will be available for $199 on March 28th, which March 28th seems like it's shaping up to be Eve Day because they have a bunch of stuff coming on the 28th of March. Next is that they're adding Venetian and honeycomb blinds to their line with Coulisse. So now you'll have, beyond just roller shades, you'll be able to get smart Venetian blinds or honeycomb blinds through their partnership there. Now, another thing Eve is shipping on March 28th are Matter certified versions of their accessories that support Matter. So Eve recently announced firmware updates for their Eve Energy, Eve Motion, and Eve Door and Window to make them support Matter. But those products ship out of the box compatible with Apple's HomeKit. So what's changing is just that those same products will ship out of the box compatible with Matter. So my guess is they'll have a Matter setup code instead of a HomeKit code on the hardware. Now, speaking of Matter support, Govee is a lighting company that's been very popular over the years and seems to make great lights, but they've never been compatible with Apple's HomeKit. And now they've announced support for Matter with their M1 light strip. So coming later this year with a firmware update, you'll be able to convert these light strips to Matter and then use them with Apple HomeKit. Now, I have 3 toddlers running around my house these days, and with that, I've become more and more interested in robot vacuums to help clean up the mess. And Roborock this year at CES announced their new S8 line. And one of the things from people who follow this space more closely have been saying is that they've added this sort of dual roller system. And this used to be an exclusive feature more or less to Roomba vacuums and supposedly help them perform better. So we'll see if this sort of dual roller without brushes, it sort of has these like paddles on it or whatever, if that can pick up dirt better. It looks like the S8 will go on sale in April for $750 US. And then if you go to $1,000, you get the auto emptying, auto charging base station. And then if you go all out for the S8 Pro Ultra, it will also wash the mop for you, which, by the way, did I mention this thing also mops the floor for you beyond just vacuuming? And not only that, it'll also empty the water container, make your bed, and fix you breakfast. Well, maybe not quite the last 2 things, but what are these robots not doing these days? Am I right? So let me know in the comments below, what announced at CES this year are you most excited about coming to your smart home, hopefully sometime in the future? Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.